about his lack of ability to do what he did tonight. And he kind of reminded everybody why he has 3 championship rings already.
On a night where he got his 3rd ring,
Yes.
too, by the way. And big game, he was hitting them from all over. He was feeling it. He had that look.
Danny Green has a reputation in this league as being steady, solid, good on the defensive end, and a good teammate. So I'm not surprised at this. It just so happened that Philadelphia is a pretty good team without their bigs, because they got guys like Tobias who, when he gets in that 8-foot range and he's posting up, he demands a double team. So they moved the ball very well. Philadelphia's a good team. And the third quarter was the one that really hurt the Lakers. I think they had 8 or 9 turnovers in that quarter. And I just don't think they recovered from that until the fourth quarter. They made a nice stand and a nice comeback.
Big game, I do want to focus on that third quarter because that's really where this game got away. Remember, the final 1 minute and 54 seconds of that second quarter, the Lakers went on a 9-0 run. So they go in at halftime 54-54. They're playing good basketball. You're really happy with the energy on both ends of the floor. That third quarter, 35-17 in favor of Philly. 9 turnovers. Lakers go 0 for 6 from 3. Philly goes 6 for 13 from 3, plus 18. At the end of 3, they're down 18.
Yeah, I mean, watching it in that third quarter, to me, it looked like the Sixers had 7 people out there defensively. Like that level of activity. They were rotating, they were scrambling, they were making the floor really crowded, as you see here, active hands by Danny Green. I mean, they were just flying around, and it really caused a lot of problems for the Lakers, and it really wrestled control of this game in that third quarter.
Really good small ball game. Lakers playing a little small ball with the exception of Marc Gasol. And then Philly small ball, as Fish mentioned, man, they're very active. They're very long. Yeah. They get their hands involved, deflections. And the third quarter, the Lakers couldn't match that energy that they were being given on the defensive end. Philadelphia just kind of swapped all over them in the third quarter.
By the way, you saw that prayer at the end of the third to beat the buzzer. Ends up being a pretty big shot.
Yeah, sometimes prayers are answered, Geets.
They really are. What have you seen now? It's been 3 games. You know, LeBron was hurt in that Atlanta game, so they played more than half the game without him. But then you had Phoenix on the road, Pelicans on the road, and then tonight against Philly. So you're playing, listen, Pelicans are 5 games under 500, but we know what they're capable of, especially at home in a game they really wanted to win. Suns are 2nd overall. Philly's 1st overall in the East. So you're playing good teams. Fish, have you seen improvements?
Yeah. I mean, okay. I think that, to struggle to shoot the ball initially was tough. Didn't really shoot the 3 very well in Phoenix. Struggling to find some offense and some rhythm how to play on that end. So I thought overall defensively they tried to hang in, but just couldn't score in Phoenix, and that's what really led to some difficulties. In New Orleans, shot the 3 ball a lot better, but just couldn't keep the Pelicans out of the paint. Too big, too long, B.I., Zion Williamson, etc. But tonight, really good competitive game. This is arguably the best team in the NBA outside of maybe Utah right now. And the Lakers hung in for the most part, but that third quarter, I thought what James said earlier, interestingly enough, without Embiid, without Dwight Howard, their ability to do a few more things and scramble, rotate, switch defensively, it's an interesting team to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Which is what this Laker team is trying to get to, some similarity of that without their 2 players. 3 good quarters tonight. We talked about how they'll have to chip away. They had 1 good quarter, I think, in their last game, and then they had 3 tonight with the exception of the third. I also think, big minutes. Shooter over 40, Kuz over 40. As they're trying to find a way to play together, they're being asked to play a lot of minutes. Fatigue sets in on some of these games that are back-to-back. So, I think they're trending in the right direction, and they'll pick up one of these wins eventually against a good team.
Outside of Trez getting 20, you just didn't get that production from the bench that you're used to. West with 3, Caruso with 1, and THT with 3. McKinney got a couple of minutes, 4. He was 0 for 2. He had 0. So they just didn't get that kind of production that you're used to, obviously, because a couple of those guys are now starting. But you did get over 20 points from 3 guys. Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder, and we got to talk about Kuz. 9 for 21, 9 rebounds. He had 25 points, James.
Yeah, 25 points. I hats off to him. I mean, he's playing well. I thought he struggled a little bit with some of his threes. He was trying to get up some threes. But overall, you know, Kuz is trying to find a way to be the guy who can create when they need a bucket. You know, taking on another responsibility with LeBron and AD out. I think he's doing a pretty good job, doing a good job on the defensive end. Collectively, they'll try to get it together.
If I would have said to you, Fish, before the game, will you take 20 from Trez and Shooter, 25 from Kuz, and 19 from KCP? You'd sign on that dotted line quick.
Of course. Good, decent balance offensively. I mean, 4 guys, good offensive production. Really just in that third quarter, you know, not being able to make a three. But if we think about the first half, a lot of the threes that were made by the Lakers came off of good ball movement, good penetration, and then the kick-out threes to the corner. And we couldn't really get back to that in the third quarter. Some of it of the Lakers' own doing, not taking care of the basketball, but the Sixers' defense really ramped up and just couldn't get high-efficient offense going in that third quarter, along with turnovers, and just couldn't get it back.
As Billy said, 28-17 on the season. They have now lost 4 games in a row for the second time this season. Kyle Kuzma has 25 points on 9 of 21. Dennis Schroeder with 20 points on 6 of 14. How about Danny Green's night? 28, 8 of 12 from 3. Seth Curry, 19, 4 of 8 from 3. Montrezl Harrell, 8 of 13. He finished with 20. He's now speaking with Mike.
Is there something that you saw in that fourth quarter comeback where it appeared you guys were playing more desperate, more kind of back against the wall that you thought could have come out earlier in this game?
You know, I think it was, you know, all those things that you just said. Played, you know, desperation type basketball. We played with pace. We flew around on the defensive end of the floor, made rotations, you know, just tried to cause a lot of havoc on the defensive end of the floor. And then on the offensive end of the floor, we was just swinging the ball all around, man. Just tried to keep the ball, keep hopping left and right, making them make extra rotations, man. And, you know, guys started to make shots. The third quarter definitely hurt us a lot. They hit, you know, 4 or 5 threes, which caused them to get on that big run and take that lead up to where they did, you know, and we can't have those lapses, you know, but, you know, every game, man, we seem to, you know, be right there, and we always have that lapse in, you know, one of these quarters, man, so we just got to, you know, find a way to just take that out of the game.
I'm sure you'll have to go back and look at some of the film on it, but did you notice during that third quarter what was happening with some of the missed rotations for the open threes, and then also just the turnovers, where I think there were 9 turnovers in that third quarter that led to Philly points?
Honestly, just trying to, you know, I think a lot of those was trying to make the right play, fitting in the small spaces, and, you know, this team is real big, you know, in the league in defensive end of the floor. I think they're like 3 or 4, or, you know, there might be 2 if I'm not mistaken, from what we saw in film earlier this morning, man. But they were real active on their hands and definitely got a lot of strips, and, you know, really that's what it was. I think we were trying to make the right play instead of just letting things develop, trying to fit it in the small spaces, small windows, and they was coming up with a lot of strips, you know, and, you know, once they got out on the run, you know, they hit threes, guys filled the lane, so, you know, that kind of put us in that hole. But at the end of the day, man, I love how we fought and just how we, you know, kept competing and fought our way to the end.
Okay, I'll do next, please.
Chaz, and I'm sure you've played on trade deadline day plenty of times, but is there any sort of, did you sense any sort of tension or any just weirdness from shoot around this morning, and what does it tell you when, you know, the front office doesn't really make any moves at all, and it's like, hey, this is the team we want, this is the team we're going to go forward with?
To be honest with you, as far as the whole trade deadline, man, I don't really you know, pay too much attention. I mean, guys, you see the tweets and the different notifications come across the TV and the ticker and things like that. But as far as the player, man, we really don't have much we can really do about the situation, man. It's more so, you know, talks throughout the team and your agent, and you know, kind of pieces that the team want to move, man. You don't really have too much of a say until basically it kind of comes out. So, you know, I don't really kind of wrap myself up around any of those type of things. I don't kind of get into it, man. I got a great, you know, agency with Clutch and Rich Paul, so, you know, I'll leave that in their hands, and, you know, I'm just trying to take care of what I can take care of out here on the court.
Okay, David Meneman, please.
Hey, Trez, what was going on between you and Dwight out there in the first quarter? Was that just competitive fire between you two? Was there any bad blood? And what did you think of him getting run from the game?
I don't know, honestly. I don't even really care, to be real with you. I was playing basketball, man, and Doc is old coach of mine, so is Sam, man, and when I'm talking to the coaches, and if they feel like some of the things you're doing on basketball plays, man, then it is what it is, man. But I'm not backing out from nobody, man. I don't take that lightly. I don't take none of that disrespect. You're not gonna push me all around on the court and just feel like you're just gonna big boy me and just have it with me. No, it don't fly with me. It's not in my blood, and it'll never be in my blood. I don't care what nobody feels about it. I don't care who don't like me. It is what it is, man. Like, that's just what it is. So that's how I feel about that situation, and that's where it's gonna stay.
Now, Montrezl Harrell honestly answering the question about Dwight Howard, saying, "Listen, I was just playing basketball, but I'm not going to stand for the disrespect. I don't care if people don't like me for it, but I'm not going to get pushed around. I'm going to fight back," and kind of ended it there. Brez, what are you picking up from this game? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, definitely some blows exchanged between the teams. Maybe if they see each other in the finals, you can kind of continue it from there. I'm going to go off the court a little bit, though. Lakers did not make a move by the time that the noon trade deadline rolled around, but they could still get some people. The buyout market is active, and the Lakers, maybe a little Andre Drummond in their future. My favorite tweet of the day. Trade deadline was noon Pacific time. At about 12:01, Chris Haynes tweeted, "Yeah, Andre Drummond will now begin negotiating a buyout from Cleveland." It's like he'd waited his time. He hadn't played in a game for Cleveland since February 12th. They couldn't trade him. He wants out. All right, he's got about $11 million left on his contract. Typically, a team will give him about 8 or 9, and then he'll make up the remainder with whatever team he goes to. The Lakers can give him a little bit, maybe under $2 million to make this happen. What do you get in Drummond? The guy's 6'10". He's 280. He's won 4 of the last 5 rebounding titles. Was probably going to win another one this year. Just hasn't played enough games. Good defender. Not much range. He's not going to drain threes on you all day like the typical NBA centers these days. But a wide body who can help you on offense and on defense.
Brez, how long do these things typically take? When you say he hasn't played since February 12th, yeah. I would assume he's itching to get back out on the court. He's just been sitting there for over a month waiting for the buyout.
Yeah, no doubt.
He probably knows where he wants to go.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a mini free agency. Some of these guys, they talk to a couple teams, maybe even visit 1 or 2. There's no rush except for April 9th. He has to be waived by April 9th. Any player has to be waived to be eligible for the playoffs. That's 2 weeks away. So there's really no rush. But Drummond, he's in a contract year, so he will be a rental player for a few months for whoever signs him. He wants to get back soon to show what he can do on the court, because we've almost forgotten about what he can indeed do.
Fish, I want to ask you this. The mindset of a player around this time. I know you can't think for Andre Drummond, but is it about role for guys? Is it a chance to win? I mean, they've already made a lot of money. He's still a pretty young guy. He's going to have the Knicks, the Nets, the Lakers all wanting him. It's his choice.
Yeah, it is his choice. It depends on what he wants, in his career at this point. He's 27 years old, so, he's not Andre Iguodala.
Yeah.
He's not some of the veterans that we talked about in the last couple of years that are at a point in their career where all they want to do is play for a championship team. They don't have time to worry about minutes, touches, how many shots. They just want to win. Drummond is kind of in that in-between stage where he has several years left, where he may not necessarily want to just kind of play a small role on the championship team just to say he got a ring, and then he has to go back in the free agent market and create a market value for himself, right? So his statistical performance over the last part of the season is going to dictate what his market is in free agency.
Yeah.
So if he comes to the Lakers, he averages 4 points and 4 rebounds. Is that going to get him paid in the offseason? Those are things that he has to think about a little bit.
Yeah, and Fish, by the way, the Knicks have a ton of cap space. You mentioned the Knicks.
Yeah.
They could sign him right now for $15 million. For the rest of the season. They have that much cap space, whereas the Lakers and the Nets, like I said, a little bit under 2 is about all they can afford because they're so far over the cap. So he could jump to the Knicks, make a ton of money. What are they, about 7th in the East? They're not going to go real far in the playoffs, you presume, whereas the Nets and the Lakers, they're thinking championship.
Okay, I got an interesting tweet for you guys right here from, there's a couple tweets coming. This is from Cavs writer Rick Nolan. JB Bickerstaff on upcoming Drummond buyout. It's good for both of us, to be honest with you. It's good for the organization, and it's good for Dre. I can't say enough about Dre and how he handled all of this. More JB on Drummond. There's no reason not to root for him. He deserves it as a person, which is the most important thing. He deserves all the success he has coming his way. Does that mean he's going to go play for a contender?
It sure sounds like it.
If it does, Lakers and Nets sound like top 2.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a knock on Drummond, besides the lack of outside touch, he hasn't played on good teams. You know, all those years in Detroit, kind of basement dwellers for the most part. His 1 year, 1.5 years in Cleveland, not good. You know, they're way down at the bottom of the standings too. The writing was on the wall when, you know, in the weird offshoot of the Harden trade, Cleveland somehow ended up with Jarrett Allen, a very good, even younger center than Drummond, who's a restricted free agent. He won't break the bank for Cleveland to hang on to him like Drummond presumably would. Cleveland chose Allen over Drummond, and here we are. Drummond's basically a free agent.
I want to ask you this, James. Andre Drummond, when it comes down to making a choice like this, and you're looking at a couple of different franchises, for the Lakers, right now, they're in need of him, right? I mean, maybe 2 months ago you wouldn't have thought too much about Andre Drummond. If you're the Lakers now and where you're at with the injuries, he's the guy you need.
There's no question that he could help this team. There's no question about that. You know, and perhaps he needs a championship quality team. Maybe, I don't know what's inside of his head, but he might need a team to legitimize, you know, what he's done and how good he is, to put him in an arena where he could be seen, be dominant, and play with some good players to make him better. So yeah, you know, otherwise he'd go get the $15 million in New York and grow, and maybe try to sign with them, you know, later on. He's got Julius Randle there. They got a good young team, so he's got a lot of options. He doesn't have to win a championship this year, as Fish said. He's just got to look for a platform that's going to carry him into his 30s. Yeah. And so this is a good time for him. Good decision on his part. He's got some. It's flexible, but if he wants to win, he has options there too with some teams.
Bish, I guess the big question becomes, how does he fit when AD and LeBron are healthy?
Yeah, no, I'll be shocked if he comes to LA. Like, he's an all-star that's been on bad teams.
Yeah.
Right?
You'd be shocked if he does come here?
Or I would personally be shocked.
Got you, okay.
I just don't know if a young man that it still has all-star potential comes to LA just for a couple months and then has to try to go, right? Because you also have to think about who has the cap space to re-sign him next year. Mm-hmm. So if the Knicks have that cap space.
Yeah, they got it right now, sure.
Now and in the summer, you go to New York, you show them what you can do.
Establish yourself.
Establish yourself, the relationships there. Yeah. Because also, if you get injured playing for 2 months in LA and things don't work out well, that's a different free agent.
15 million, a buyout, and then $15 million in New York.
It's a big
difference. Very interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. One more name to throw out there, Otto Porter, kind of getting bandied about. Got traded to Orlando today. He'd be more like a replacement for LeBron. You know, a small forward, kind of injury.
Saturday when Solomon Hill collided into his ankle while diving for a loose ball. That was that Saturday matinee game. And then from LeBron to the other injured superstar, head coach Frank Vogel gave us a little insight into AD's recovery and potential return, saying in pregame that Davis has made expected progress in his return from his right calf strain, but he remains a ways away from returning to the lineup. Davis is scheduled to be reevaluated on Friday. So 4 straight losses for the Lakers. Frank Vogel is addressing the media.
Hey, Frank, before we get to the fourth quarter, just wondered what was going through your mind after Shaq Milton hits that three to close the third quarter, what the deficit was and all the turnovers and et cetera that had led to somebody building that lead.
Yeah, well, each of the last 3 or 4 games, we've had one really bad quarter, you know, and we're hoping to prevent that and play a 48-minute night. You know, the third quarter, you know, we just, and credit to defense, you know, they're great at forcing turnovers. We made a few poor decisions, but they made some good defensive plays there in that stretch as well, and, you know, got going in transition. And then, you know, obviously the double team's trying to take the ball out of Tobias's hands, mostly. You know, we got crossed up on a few of those and gave up threes as well. So just a tough stretch for us during that quarter, and you know, got to continue to try to put together 48 minutes.
And then as to that fourth quarter, Frank, obviously there was some desperation needed, but is that something that you feel like should be happening more, just given the fact that LeBron and AD are out? Do you think that's something that can be called upon more as playing with that type of intensity?
Yeah, I don't think we played harder in the fourth quarter than the third. I think we played poorly in the third. You know, I think our team's fighting, we're scratching and clawing, giving great effort. You know, but like I said, we're just having a stretch where we make some poor decisions and miss some assignments on the defensive end. So we just got to put it together for 48 minutes.
Okay, Bell Orm, please.
Hey, Frank. I was just wondering if you could tell us what you saw from Marc in his first game back and just how good it was to have him back on the floor after this prolonged absence.
Yeah, he was great. I'm not even sure what his numbers, 1 for 2, but his impact comes in a lot of different ways. The IQ defensively, had a couple of great verticality plays at the rim to get us some stops. And, it just gives us a different dynamic offensively to be able to play pass and cut offense more, with him quarterbacking some of that stuff. So a good return for him.
Will he play tomorrow night, or will he still be on minutes restriction? What's the plan?
We'll see how he feels tomorrow.
Sorry about that. Frank Calhoun, please.
Hey, Frank. I know you talked before about everybody kind of having to step up a little bit here and there to replace guys like LeBron and AD, but in terms of, vocal leadership or kind of pulling guys through maybe some of the rough quarters you've had, is there somebody that you feel like is more capable of sort of pulling the team, sort of filling the leadership void that you guys are missing without LeBron?
Yeah, we got a lead from every chair in the room. Everybody's got to play their part, and everybody, quite frankly, is. Guys are talking out coverages, they're talking about actions and offensive spacing and where they need to be. They're working together the right way. It's healthy. We're competing. Just falling short because of a couple different difficult stretches.
Hey, Dan Morkey.
Frank, it's probably kind of obvious, but is that sort of the lesson to the guys after these games? Is that the margin for error is just so much more slim without AD and LeBron?
Yeah, that's yes, margin of error is
pretty obvious, I guess.
It's more slim.
Okay, we're going to go to Michael Forte.
Yeah, Frank, I'm sure you're used to it, seeing what Danny Green was able to do, for you a couple of games when he gets hot. But when he gets hot like he did tonight, what can you do to just stop him? I know you some missed rotations, left him with some open shots, but other than that, he was just on all night.
Yeah, there was a couple where it draped all over him. But when you're trying to slow down guys like Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, we overcommitted and overhelped off on Ben's drives to the basket entirely too much. I think Danny got some of those. Some of those we're trying to take the ball out of Tobias Harris' hands, and that's what Danny's won championships doing, is making double teams pay, and we just didn't get to him enough.
All right, here is a tweet from Chris Haynes from Yahoo. LaMarcus Aldridge will have conversations with the Miami Heat, Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Clippers, and Brooklyn Nets before deciding on his next destination. D-Fish. Time now for Fish's Focus. What are you focusing on, Derek? Positives or
Christopher?
Combo?
Yes. No, positives. It was good to see Marc Gasol back. So that's what we're going to focus on, right?
It was nice to have him.
Yeah, a lot of positives in tonight's game. There are no real, moral victories in professional sports.
No,
so
there isn't.
Let's not really get that twisted. But Marc Gasol does a lot of good things for this Lakers team, offensively in particular. Like Frank Vogel mentioned in his press conference after there, the ability to use him as a playmaker and play pass and cut offense more and not relying on just dribble penetration. Great job there. Once the ball is in Marc's hands, guys can start moving and cutting without the basketball, leads to really high percentage shots. This time, playing through Marc as the trail big in the middle, knocks down the three. And then this is an area that we've missed over the last couple weeks on these drives to the basket. Great verticality. Ben Simmons hits his chest, misses the shot. Lakers are out in transition. And then again, Marc, great with just getting the basketball moving. Watch how this possession, 4 passes. Guys are cutting and moving, 5 passes. Dribble penetration, 6. Great touch pass. He played soccer growing up. Great touch pass to the corner to KCP, knocks down the corner 3. And with that 15-minute restriction on his playing time, they couldn't really go back to him in the second half. But that really helped the Lakers' offense.
And it's in his first game in over 3 weeks. He's speaking with Mike.
Hey, Marc, Frank was talking about how difficult it was even to find the time to get any kind of practice run for you, just given the circumstances?
Correct.
And so I wondered how you felt physically in the 15 minutes out there tonight compared to what your expectations were.
Better than expected. Better than expected. Didn't get like you guys know. Not as much practice, no team practice, definitely. So everything had to be done, with coaches and guys, and with the traveling, it's always hard to find, good time. So, but better than expected. I felt I'm still unathletic, so the infection didn't affect me much. I'm still not a very athletic guy, which I'm still the same. So that's good.
Fair enough. Do you have an idea yet about tomorrow that you'll be able to play?
That's the plan. That's the plan. Unless barring something happens or wake up with something that I'm not falling down.
Go ahead, you can keep talking.
Unless something happens overnight, which I don't expect to, the plan is to play tomorrow around the same time, hopefully a little bit more. That's more on the medical team. We're trying to be smart about this, but I'm happy, very happy to be able to be out there and help the guys.
And Marc, tonight's game included, but what have you noticed about how this team needs to play without LeBron and AD, and what role that you can take up in that?
We have to be more consistent, especially defensively. We had too many breakdowns on the open court. We know once we set our defense, when we communicate and everyone is tied together, our chances of getting stops are much, much higher, and that fuels our offense, that gets us going. We had too many breakdowns on transition, too many plays that we're there but we're not there. You have to close out all the way. You have to do the extra step. Offensively, keep sharing the ball, keep making the next play, don't get stagnant, don't be predictable, and play as a team. So I think obviously we're not getting the results that we want in 48 minutes, but we're getting better as a team, and I think guys understanding how important it is to play with one another.
Hey, Kyle Goon, please.
Hey, Marc. First of all, glad to see you back and healthy. But I'm going to pick up on a word that you used, infection, and ask, were you suffering from the effects of COVID-19 during your absence, and what were some of the obstacles in getting back?
And it got me pretty good for 5-6 days. I was down. I couldn't move much. The biggest symptoms, or the worst symptoms for me, were the headaches, difficulty of breathing, especially when you try to move, you try to go upstairs, and